So soon as it's not right.
I sent myself. So I got two. I didn't know, but like I've accidentally emailed Amy because I typed AH and I've emailed Amy reminders to myself. We do it all. Myself too.
Barbara, okay?
So I can make sure that I remember to tell you in case you didn't, you know. I said, without my sticky notes.
No, David. How you doing?
Can I do it? How do you
They stole some dogs from the dog house. Well, Winston come up here about 7 o'clock and walk.
Were you walking?
And then Melissa Herman had a, I walked the whole out. Melissa Herman was just leaving the quarter station. I didn't leave here as well. Walking around. I'm like, all right. So when they come to me, at least they can look. I walk up here most nights, so it's not like I have
With your dog.
with my dog. I'm like, when they look at the camera, I'm going to be on it after 8 o'clock on Friday night.
First game.
One thing about bowling, you don't get so angry out it becomes so mischievous.
My puppy is a mess. She's doing really, she's good, but yeah, she's like.
I was going to say, he's a whole lot better, younger than he is.
Oh, really? Yeah. So he's getting even more active.
Yeah, so
She has found a voice and started barking at her dog. It's funny when they just hear scenes in my head. There's plenty of toys and bones and they want the same one, and she'll just sit there.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the September 14 meeting of the Campbell County School Board. I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight, including those that are joining us via Facebook Live. It's good to see a packed house here, at least as packed as it can be. So, good to see everyone here. Before we begin, I've got a couple of announcements. Ms. Reitema is not able to join us live tonight or join us in person tonight, but is participating in tonight's meeting via Zoom pursuant to Campbell County School Board Policy BDD Section 1B. So she's here. Oh, Barbara. Second item is the business on tonight's agenda has not changed, but the order of business was changed since the posting of the agenda on Friday. So the overall agenda is the same. We just moved a couple things around on Friday, September 11th. 2020. Okay, so now we can get started. First item up is a presentation from the Campbell County Education Foundation. I'd like to welcome Rose Epperson, Susan Brandt, and Vicki Maddox.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Superintendent, and members of the Campbell County School Board. Thank you for allowing me to again come before the board for this presentation. My name is Rose Epperson, and I represent the Campbell County Educational Foundation, Incorporated. Other members of the foundation board include Susan Brandt, Vicki Maddox, Elizabeth Nairwood, Dean Farmer, Kathy Kaplan, Kenny Kirby, Clay Stanley, and Sam Vance. The Educational Foundation is an independent, private, nonprofit organization that was incorporated in 2017. It was developed for the purpose of supporting quality education programs that prepare Campbell County students to become successful citizens. With the ongoing challenges of 2020, the Foundation Board believes it is more important than ever to prepare more students for these essential job roles in our community. That's why our current focus is to seek financial support from the community for Campbell County Schools and the Central Virginia Community College Dual Enrollment Program. Supporting the educational path makes it possible for students to finish high school with a diploma, the first step toward a trade certificate and often a job offer. Average starting salaries are attractive and students can leave the program with little or no debt. To date, the Campbell County Educational Foundation has donated $10,000 to the dual enrollment program. I come before you tonight to present a check for an additional $7,500 for this program. We remain committed to continuing our fundraising efforts and offering financial support for our future citizens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys for all your hard work and doing this, and everybody that's involved. We really appreciate that. Okay, moving along, the next item, I believe we have some guests that signed up to speak to address the board tonight.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, you have five people who have signed up, and I'll let Ms. McClanahan call those people by the order in which they contacted our office to speak.
Okay, just before we begin, I'd like to, I know they're in the hall, but I just remind everyone that there's a 3-minute limit. And we ask that you state your name and your address when you address the board. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, tonight the first speaker is Mr. John Hardy.
Good evening. My name is John Hardy. I live at 601 Callahan Road in Rustburg, Virginia. I want to thank you for providing me with the opportunity to speak with all of you this evening. Tonight I come before you in my role as the Rustburg District Supervisor. This is a role that I humbly accepted nearly 3 years ago, and I enjoy serving my community greatly, as I know that all of you do. Over the past few months, several citizens have spoken to me concerning the 1919 section of what is now Rustburg Middle School. This building means a tremendous amount to the people of Rustburg. While our boards work together, it is ultimately the school board's decision if this building should be saved and put to productive use by Campbell County Schools. I encourage you to save and utilize the 1919 historic building. This section of the building is over 7,500 square feet, and it's in great shape. It has been a tremendous asset for our county for the last 100 years. While there is no question that a new Rustburg Middle School is needed and will be welcomed by the community and the future students it will serve, the 1919 section still has life and can serve Campbell County Schools in several possible uses that would be of great value to our community. A few ideal examples of how to use this space include adult education classes for the community. Right now, those courses are held in schools where there's children. It would allow for the separation of adults and children. Professional Development Center to hold trainings and large administrative meetings. Right now, the division struggles to meet those needs and space on a daily basis. It could also serve as a new home for the Campbell County Online Learning Academy, which will be with us for the unforeseeable future. That world is not going to go away. It's just beginning, and we need a place for those professionals to work. These are just a few ideas of how to utilize this space rather than use existing instructional space for these purposes in our current buildings. This site is ideal for so many uses because it's centralized location in our county seat. I urge you not to be comfortable with the thought of tearing down what has meant so much to so many. This building is one of our few local treasures. I urge you to save and utilize this space. This much square footage with the masonry work and architectural detail would cost millions to build in today's world. Let's not hastily take this building down. I encourage you to find a productive way to utilize this Campbell County treasure and keep this building in our community. Saving and utilizing this building is more than possible. It's practical, and it in no way interferes with Campbell County Schools' ability to build a new Rustburg Middle School. We have provided you with a healthy budget for the project, and I humbly ask that you find a way to utilize this space and preserve our history while we create a brighter future for generations to come. Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Wayne Bailey.
First of all, I'd like to thank the school board for allowing me the opportunity to come and speak before you this evening. I flew in today from Fort Worth, Texas. My name's Wayne Bailey. I'm a product of the Campbell County school system, graduated in 1969. I'm currently, and have been for over 20 years, a consultant to the federal government as well as state and local governments. I've served 4 presidential administrations and a number of cabinet level departments. Really, the reason I'm here tonight is because there is a deep emotional attachment to the 1919 building. I went to elementary school there. I went to high school there. I graduated on the hillside beside it. I have spent numerous hours and a lot of money out of pocket in an effort to save that structure. I feel like it does have historical significance, even though Dr. Johnson, I think you said at the August 10th meeting that it had no historical value. I beg to differ on that. I think it does have historical value, it being 101 years old. The state director of the Western Division of the Virginia Historic Association sent a letter to the board back in May, I believe, offering his services to help the county get tax credits, etc., for the renovation of the building. We have reached out many times via speakers, via email, via phone calls, and some face-to-face meetings. So far, we've received no response. We've received no answers to any of our questions. We felt like that our pleas are honestly being totally ignored by the board. Literally thousands of people have received the education foundational to what we have achieved in that old building. Like you, we want the best for Campbell County. However, we certainly have a difference of opinion when it comes to preserving the old building. It was a focal point for the community for years. I have with me tonight a few other people who feel exactly the way I do about this, whose lives have been shaped by what we were taught through the good times as well as the bad times. I had more than one paddling in that old building, and it made me who I am today. It's obvious to me, and as it is to well over 1,000 people who have signed our petition, your constituents who voted you into office, that we feel that you are ignoring our pleas. We feel like we deserve answers. We feel like we deserve the same respect that we've shown you each time we've addressed you in our emails, etc. The building is qualified to be on the Register of Historic Places, both national and regional. It was a community hub that served as a focal point for local families and educated thousands of students. It's also the scene of the first integration of Campbell County schools with the first integrated graduating class in 1970. As I mentioned previously, Mike Police, the regional director of the Virginia Department of Historic Resources, informed the county by letter that the property was eligible and a likely candidate for the historic registers, and that his office would help get it on the registers and assist with the tax credits available in order to make the renovation a reality. Dr. Johnson went on to say that the school board, if it were to integrate the 1919 school building, it would cause delays and be more expensive than an all-new school. He also said that Davenport and Associates is studying this, but gave an answer about the outcome before the study results came in. The county stipulated the demolition of the old school before hiring an architect or a contractor. How and why has this been decided before a professional team takes on the project? What studies?
Thank you for your time. Thank you for addressing this, but we do have a 3-minute limit here.
I understand that. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next, we have Karen Berry.
Good evening. I'm Karen Garner Berry. I reside at 1876 Timberlake Drive. I want to thank all of you for your service to Campbell County and let you know I realize it takes a huge amount of time and energy to make a school system work efficiently and productively. All of you have been under unusual stress since March with the pandemic, and my heart goes out to you for this extra burden you're carrying. I pray the decisions you are making will be the best for all of our children and help them succeed in this troubled environment. I graduated from Rustburg High School in 1969, as did my 3 brothers and 2 sisters. I taught school for 12 years and presently have been the CFO for Rustburg Wholesale Floor Corporation for 32 years. I am very interested in saving the 1919 historical building at Rustburg Middle School along with many others. In 2017, it was listed as one of the historical schools in Virginia that could be renovated for less money than the cost of new construction. Mr. Frank Rogers received a letter from the State of Virginia Department of Historic Resources explaining there are state and federal tax credits available totaling up to 45% of the total cost for renovation. I am asking you to have Blair Construction incorporate the 1919 building in the plan for the new Rustburg Middle School, if it is not already part of their plan. Blair has the expertise to renovate the building. Why would you make total demolition of all buildings part of your instructions to the contractors? There is still time to make this happen. We have over 1,000 signatures on petitions asking the county to save the building. It is not just the people speaking tonight. It is a large part of the community that has voiced their opinion by signing the petitions. I am asking you to be responsible school board members and show the people you are listening. Preserve history and renovate rather than destroy this historical building. Our cities and counties are hurting for tax dollars right now, and I can promise you one thing, it will get worse before it gets better. We must be wise and not wasteful. Yes, interest rates are low. They may go lower. We're going into uncharted territory in our economy. We have never had our economy shut down because of a virus, We have millions of people out of work. We do not know what is really going to happen in the days to come. My question to you is, what's the rush? Will the layout for our schools change because of this virus? I hope not, but who knows the answer to that question? Take your time and study the possibilities. Don't make a huge mistake because interest rates are low. That is no reason to rush into destroying a historical building or building a school in haste. Be patient, look at the possibilities, and save the 1919 historical school building if feasible and beneficial to the citizens of Campbell County. I thank you for your time, and I would like to leave copies of the petitions with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Wes Driscoll.
My name is Wes Driscoll, and I live in Northern Virginia at 21200 Tiger Lily Place, Ashburn, Virginia. I grew up on I grew up on Red House Road, and I'm a graduate of Rustburg High School, class of 1970. In 2018, I retired after 42 years of teaching Latin and English and coaching football and track in the public schools of Virginia. I'm very proud and thankful for the education and values I received here that gave me a great foundation for a successful and rewarding life and career. I am here to support the efforts to preserve the 1919 school building, and I have some concerns about the process so far. Evidence has been presented in oral and written presentations about how a significant amount of money could be saved on the middle school project. It's been presented to the school administration and the Board of Supervisors, but a lot of times letters are going unanswered and phone calls are not returned. This seems irresponsible to the taxpayer. It's not transparent government. If this was not a worthy project, why is there a petition with over 1,000 signatures on it? Why does the construction company chosen for this project feel the need to say we are creating negative sentiments and an adverse impact? They know very little about the well-intentioned and caring people behind this project. More important is, do you as a board approve of and condone their statements? We would understand this opposition and reluctance better if we were asking to add costs to the projects and expecting the school system to secure the grants, but this is not the case. People are volunteering to do the grant work and the tax credit work. Finally, often for class reunions, the class will try to give a gift to the school system. If word gets out about snubs or reasonable denied requests like this, what incentive will there be for such action? Thank you for your time and attention to this matter and the work you do for our youth.
Thank you.
And next, we have Mr. Doug Behringer.
My name is Doug Bellinger. I reside at 277 Collins Court, which is just off Callahan Road where I grew up. And like the other people who have spoken, I'm a graduate of Rustburg High School and have very deep memories. I can't say I enjoyed it while I was there, but it did make me who I am today. I have come across some numbers that tell me that an estimated cost for renovation would be $23 million. Enhanced renovation, whatever that is $30 million. And complete demolition and reconstruction, $40 million, $44 million. I'm not here representing the Campbell County Republican Party today, but I am one of the voters and taxpayers. And unfortunately, I have not gotten enough of them to come out yet. We're going to start rallying them immediately. I find this PPEA really pretty impressive. It's a policy that seems to be designed to fast track a process and minimize public input and public awareness. This is the opposite of freedom of information and the opposite of what we would call transparent. Decisions were made before studies were in, as Wayne said, and decisions were made before public hearings were held. I don't remember that ever happening before. I'm sure I'll see a lot of things I've never seen before. How did Rustburg Middle School get into the shape it's in now? I know that building was built to last. Buildings back then were well constructed. The structure's still sound. And I know that casual neglect could not get it into the shape it's in now. Only a program of deliberate, systematic neglect could bring it down to the shape it's in now. I think that's a shame, but fortunately, as I said, the building is well constructed and can come back. I'm supporting restoration of the whole facility, although I do not want to speak against efforts to save the old building. I too had elementary and high school classes there and graduated on the same hill. And I also found it interesting. It's on page 73, I believe, of the Blair document that's on your website, on the county website, where they actually did speak of our effort as having a negative impact on a community perception. No doubt it will have a negative impact on perception because what we're perceiving is not right. So I didn't prepare any remarks. I've scribbled a few things sitting out there because I knew we had 3 minutes and I don't talk through a mask very well. But I just asked you to reconsider, and I asked the Board of Supervisors tomorrow to reconsider. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Thanks to everyone who took time out of their schedule to come in and address the board tonight. We appreciate your comments, and we'll take it under advisement. Next item up on our agenda is actually a review. Dr. Johnson, a review of the project itself.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks to everyone who came out. I thought it might be important tonight to give a little background. I was not at the Board of Supervisors meeting. I have met with a couple of people who did come in and request to sit down and talk about the Rustburg Middle School project and some background information, and I was able to provide that. But I thought it would be helpful tonight to speak to some of that. The discussion about the Rustburg Middle School is not a new discussion. In 2009, the decision was made that we did not have a CIP, a capital improvement project, and a plan. We had recently completed a pretty aggressive and rich restoration and new build of the elementary schools, but the secondary schools had been neglected for years. So we embarked on a CIP to try to come up with what was the best options going forward for the secondary schools. So in July of 2010, the school board began a facility study. It included steering committees in each attendance zone area. So Rustburg, Brookville, William Campbell, and Alta Vista. There were over 67 people involved in those steering committees. During that year, there were two, what the group called Futures Conferences that were held at Highland Heights, and they drew 115 participants. There were 2 community dialogue meetings with over 230 participants. All of that over the course of that year and a half, getting information. In 2011, an executive summary from all of that work from that committee was presented to the school board, and that was a consolidation model, and it was recommended that it be approved, and that was recommended by the committee. In note, in that consolidation model, Rustburg Middle School would not have been part of the new structure. It would not have been in part of the new plan. In March of 2013, Campbell County School Board adopted the consolidation recommendation. And between March of 2013 and December of 2014, several full joint boards, board of supervisors, full board of school board, had meetings and were conducted to discuss the consolidation plan. In January of 2015, the Board of Supervisors voted not to fund consolidation, but to keep the community schools and redo the CIP, which included a renovation model. In September of 2015, the Campbell County School Board adopted a revised capital improvement plan. And on January the 5th of 2016, the new CIP was presented to the Board of Supervisors. As clearly indicated and quoted in the minutes, quote, Dr. Johnson indicated Rustburg Middle School was the first priority in the plan and a full replacement of the school was recommended. That was in January of 2016. Between January 2016 and March of 2018, no action on behalf of the Board of Supervisors was taken on the CIP. On March 6 of 2018, the Board of Supervisors requested the joint committee, that is 2 members of the school board, 2 members of the Board of Supervisors, review the CIP and identify a process to bring that forward to the Board of Supervisors. On January the 15th of 2019, the Board of Supervisors there was a Board of Supervisors discussion on the school CIP, and a new Rustburg Middle School full replacement was discussed. February the 19th of 2019, the full joint board meeting, both boards fully together, financing for the county and school CIP were discussed, which included a complete new Rustburg Middle School. On May the 19th, 2019, Board of Supervisors Chairman commented on touring county middle and high schools and, quote, saw firsthand the improvements that were needed at the schools, especially Rustburg Middle School. On June the 20th, 2019, at the request of the Board of Supervisors, a memo was sent to the county administrator from the school board identifying the school board's top 3 CIP priorities. Full replacement of Rustburg Middle School was number 1. So from July of 2010 through June 20th, 2019, Rustburg Middle School was mentioned and it never wavered from being the number 1 priority of the school board for a replacement. In regards to the discussion around the historical tax credits, in May of 2020, I received a copy of a letter from the Department of Historical Resources that was mentioned tonight regarding available tax incentives for the rehabilitation of historical buildings. I contacted the county administrator to discuss. He had been in contact with this department that sent the letter and had at least one conversation with them. We agreed that a review of the financial impact of pursuing the historical tax credits was needed. But note, Rustburg Middle School has not been granted historical tax status. And this would have to have been pursued. The county administrator engaged Davenport and Company with assistance from Sands Anderson PC, that's the county's board bond counsel. And they conducted a review. And on August the 21st, 2020, I received a copy of a letter from Davenport and Company outlining several key findings related to the financing through historical tax credits. And the letter states there's multiple key findings, but in the essence of the letter is, quote, it appears that no material financial benefit would be served, and more likely the county would incur additional costs if it pursued this option. It was also noted in that letter that the school was not eligible for federal tax credits, only state tax credits. And retaining the 1919 building would add cost to the project. The example that I've heard, the building project was $40 million to keep the 1919 building and renovate an estimate of another $4 to $5 million. So that project is now $45 million, and you only would get the state tax credits on the additional $5 million, which might be $1.25 million. So it would not say it does add to the overall project. That money would have to come from the project, or the Board of Supervisors would have to delegate, or I guess, approve funding for that specific project. So the joint committee under the PPA process went to work. They reviewed 11 proposals initially by the committee. And on August 25th and 26th, 5 were interviewed. I commend the board, both the school board members and Board of Supervisors members, for the amount of time they put in reviewing all of those proposals. Blair Construction and RRMM, a team that they put together, was unanimously recommended to move forward. RRMM lead architect indicated during the presentation that the current site for the new Rustburg Middle School was ideal, and it maximized the site to its fullest. The new plan does not incorporate the 1919 building in it, and as some of you may have seen, it would have been a standalone building on its own. Again, the school board asked the architect, was that site and plan maximizing the amount of property that they had to build and get the most value out of for the project? And the answer was unequivocally yes. So I give you that information because I think there is some misinformation out, and I have not returned a phone call. I don't recall a request in writing for any information. But if I did miss that, I apologize, but I don't think I've done that. So I guess my question tonight, as you can see, beginning in 2009 and 10, this discussion you've been having for quite a few years. So my question is, am I to assume, or is it safe to assume that unless I hear otherwise, you stay the course, and the CIP that you presented is the one that will be that will go forward? So with that, I'd ask you if you have any questions of me.
Anyone have a question?
Yeah, Dr. Johnson, you mentioned $1.5 million for the tax credits.
Okay.
The overall cost of the project around 40 million, is that what we're saying? That's
It's a budgeted 41, somewhere in that neighborhood, yes.
Yeah, I don't know if that explored the option of a standalone 1919 building, not incorporating it into the new facility, but just leaving that structure as a standalone structure and then building a new school off to the side.
That would be just
Not
for the new
attached.
school. That would not include any money for renovation.
Okay.
So there would have to be money that comes out of the new project, or the Board of Supervisors would have to, if you chose to change course in your CIP and leave that building.
Yeah, I don't know if that could be an option that we could further explore as far as that being a standalone facility and move forward with the new school building and layout and how that would be incorporated into that. You know, if that was an option, to factor that in for further consideration as we move forward.
That's a tough question in that this process that we're going through now is a pretty aggressive timeline. But as you can see, it wasn't just done overnight, it was done over 10 years. The proposal that the boards will see tomorrow night does not include that.
Was that ever, part of that, some of the joint committee discussions, was that part of the,
Yes,
some of the layouts? of the
Yes.
Standalone facility?
and yes. But only one offered that as an option. None of the other proposals included that in there at all.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions for Dr. Johnson?
I'll speak just a minute. All of you speakers, other than one, I think I went to either school with you or you're a little bit older than I am and have a lot of memories of the Rustburg High School complex and definitely good memories. And to me, the most important thing garnered out of the going to school there was the memories. The building has little impact on me. And honestly, several of the people that have contacted me about saving the high school were saying save the entire complex. I don't think that's within our scope of what we're going to do. I mean, I go back to my memories of the school or the people I've met, the teachers, the friendships you made that still go on. I mean, they have a whole lot. Honestly, when I was going to school there, if you had a class in that part of the building, in the auditorium there, you were saying, golly, I gotta go over there and have a class instead of in the main complex. But truly is a great building. But I'll go back to what one of the finest ladies that I've ever been associated with, Miss Booley Martin, who was a member of our school board for many, many years. She was a member when I came on board. Leon, please help me if I say it wrong, but one of the things she always fell back on is do what's best for the children of Campbell County. That's what I personally try to put forth in my role on this board. I'm not sure saving this building is what's best for the children of Campbell County. It's a lot of money to be spent. There's a lot of money to be spent in the new complex. But honestly, I think when you see the new complex, you'll say, wow. And that's my stand. And that's all.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of feedback, particularly over the last week, and even up to this evening, with some being the Rustburg representative of the Rustburg district, and I just wanted to present the idea to the board on if it's something we at least wanted to maybe consider as a standalone facility going forward, and giving a little further evaluation to that to see if there was something that we could work into the plan as far as that being a standalone facility, not part of the new complex. I realize that would be difficult to pull off as far as the location of the new facility, in addition to trying to incorporate that into the new building. But I know if it may be an easier path forward to retain that structure as a standalone facility and then move forward with the remainder of the project and then see what the costs shake out. At least getting some estimates from Blair Construction on what that may or may not entail. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts on potential path forward for that. Not trying to throw a wrench into the timeline, Dr. Johnson. I realize we're on a schedule. I don't know how big of an impact that would be to the schedule to consider options for that facility and then take those under consideration and continue to move forward with the remainder of the project, or if that's feasible or not.
I think that would be a better question answered by the county being the financial, the governing body and financing the project, and their bond council, how they can finance the project.
I would just add that if that were the case, that standalone building, even though it would be on our school property, would not be part of our new school.
Right.
So what is it county's, is the county going to pay for that? I don't think that, if that's being thought about, that's not part of our new middle school. That's preserving a building for the sake of preserving it, which is a reasonable request, I'm not refuting that, but then it's not ours. Should we pay for demolition for everything around it, but try to preserve it? I don't want that impacting our budget for our new school. Does the county want to come up with the extra, however much that would add to the cost of the demolition process, and then trying to preserve that? I don't want that to be part of our school budget. I don't want it to come out of our new school, is what I'm saying. If we choose to go down that path.
Yeah, I agree. I don't foresee that structure as much being a part of the new school either, but more of a, like I said, a standalone facility unto itself, and we could.
I don't know, is the layout, the layout of the new project?
It would notice that, be off to itself. Would not be no part, it would not be any part of the, new construction. Where the layout is.
If it were to be standalone, then to Dr. Miller's point, it would not be a part of the school board's responsibility.
That wouldn't be, that's your problem.
Pardon?
That's your problem.
Why didn't y'all tell us this?
So I think Mr. Phillips asked, was there any desire to change your CIP as it was presented, or you move forward?
I say we move forward.
Move forward. Unless we have a second. I guess it's a motion.
What, I'm
That was a
sorry.
motion, but unless we have if we don't have a motion or second, we stay the course where we are.
Yeah, but if that, I would present that as a motion or an option to reconsider moving forward. To look at the financing and the layout of that, but a little more closer detail on whether that can be incorporated or not, but at least weigh it as an option moving forward if we want to continue to pursue it or not. Kind of the way I was presenting that, so. With the feedback we've gotten tonight and some that I've received personally, just to look a little more closely at that option as a consideration.
Is there a second? No,
So, let me just ask, completely mess up our current timeline, but how long would it take for Blair to, how long do you think it would take Blair to, or, we're just guessing, I guess, but how long would that take?
I don't know if that's something we can answer here tonight, but that would be part of the consideration moving forward, is how that would impact the timeline as well.
And we'd have to get the company to resubmit another proposal.
Then you gotta redo the whole process again.
Yeah, you have to get everybody to resubmit it. The board needs to consider the realistic reality is if you build a however many $1 million school complex, modern, you drive down the road and you say, wow. And you have the existing 1900 building sitting immediately in front of all that.
And whatever the motion is decided, I thought that would be more off to the side of the way some of the layouts I've looked at. So they're right in front of each other then, the latest one.
Well, unless there's a second, Mr. Phillips' motion. Again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out and appreciate your passion and appreciate you spending the time to address the board tonight. We appreciate your time. Thank you. Moving on now to the next item on our agenda. Dr. Johnson, do you have anything else that you want?
Just a reminder that you, the 6:30 meeting tomorrow night at Rustburg High.
6:30? 6:30 meeting tomorrow night.
Rustburg High School.
Yes, it's gonna be spread out like this. It's gonna be streamed, everything.
Okay. Next item up is the approval of the August 10, 2020 meeting minutes.
Move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second. A motion by Mr. Brandt, a second by Mr. Maddox. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Payment of the bills.
Mr. Chairman, I reviewed the bills and move to approve the payments.
Second.
A motion by Dr. Miller and a second by Mr. Phillips. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Ms. Rockwell is responding.
Ms. McClanahan, acceptance of donations.
Tonight you have 5 donations listed for approval. Unless you have any questions, I ask that you approve those as presented.
Move approval.
Got a motion to approve by Mr. Brandt, second by Mr. Jones. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of non-resident tuition.
You have 82 applicants being considered for approval as non-resident county tuition students. Principals have already endorsed them, so I ask you to approve those as presented.
Motion. Second. Motion by Mr. Maddox and a second by Mr. Jones. Is there any further discussion?
Seems like a really large number. Is that just because of the beginning of the school year?
Yeah.
It's the exact same number in total that we have every year.
Okay.
We're right on trend for the same number.
We've been getting a few because Pennsylvania County, which is good.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Sis, second reading.
Oh, we got supplemental appropriation.
Oh, I'm sorry. Consideration of request for supplemental appropriations.
Tonight you have 7 supplemental appropriations presented for approval. Unless you have any questions, I ask that you approve them.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Miller, second by Mr. Brandt. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, Mr. Sis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight I have 4 policies before you for a second reading. I ask that you approve those. I do want to go over one policy with you, vacation leave, policy GCBDF. If you could direct your attention down to the numbers of years completed. There was a typographical error. So the numbers of years completed should be 1 to 10, 11 to 20, and 21 plus. It currently reads 1 to 10, 10 to 20, and 21 plus. So that second line, the 10 should be 11. And the explanation is we were really trying to make this policy more easy to read, and we ended up making a typographical error on it. But at the end of the day, we are trying to make sure that for those people for their leave for the first 10 years, they have to complete 10 full years of leave before they're granted the next status up. So from 1 to 10 years completed, they get 10 days. So thank you for pointing that out. If there are no other questions, or if there are questions, I ask that you ask them or approve them.
So with that vacation policy, the practice hadn't changed, it's
No.
just clarifying that.
No practice change. We've been doing this for years.
Any other discussion? Any discussion?
There's no other discussion and move for approval. A second.
Motion by Mr. Grant, a second by Mr. Phillips. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Personnel report. Son.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have the personnel report in front of you. Unless you have any specific questions, I ask that you approve it as written.
Second. Got a motion by Mr. Jones and a second by Mr. Maddox. Is there any questions or comments?
I got one comment. Ms. Martin, thank you for many, many years of great service.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. 35 years. I was telling Dr. Johnson, every day was a wonderful day here in Campbell County, and I was truly blessed. And to work with all of these wonderful colleagues, it's just been extra. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Huntley, staffing levels at an appropriate level at this point, or
We are, yes, we have made some decisions to move some staff around and not fill some positions that weren't needed, but we're fully staffed as to what we need right now.
Those reassignments, were they voluntary, or, I mean, how does that?
The ones to the Campbell County online.
Yeah.
Those were discussions that were had with principals. Some teachers were asked to make that move, but that was discussed between the principals and our director of elementary education.
Hopefully that's very temporary, right?
Hopefully, yes. But we'll see.
No other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next up is update on school opening.
Thank you, Chair. I hope that I'll be joined here by a couple of other folks, but first off, we're open for business and we got kids in the building, and that's been a gargantuan effort by the people on the ground. And I would like to say thank you to our principals, everybody, principals, teachers, and all of our staff to get to this place. It has been, up until the day of opening, was probably, I thought my heart was going to explode getting to that point. There was a lot of stress to make sure everything was perfect. And everything was not perfect, and we still started school, but we're doing really well. I would like to give you an update on how we're managing our plan, our mitigation plan that we have. As you know, there's lots of changes that have come across the wire from everywhere from CDC to Virginia Department of Health. We maintain a weekly meeting with the Virginia Department of Health and have worked hand in hand with them to look at how they, not only how it's written to manage these types of things on their end, but how they're actually doing it. And so what truly comes down to the most important thing and is mitigation efforts. One, stay at home if you're sick, and our people are doing that. We really appreciate that. Two, if you do show symptoms of this disease at school, stay home for 10 days. That's what we're asking people to do. That's what the Virginia Department of Health is asking us to do. We currently have about 43 people that are quarantined, adults and children. One quarantine costs us about 32 people. So if you take away that one quarantine, we really don't have a lot of people that are currently, quarantined. That particular quarantine will end on the 21st, so just a few days from now, and those kids will be back in the building, as well as those teachers, and we'll be staffed and ready to go. We're currently maintaining staff. We are actually going a step or so further than what the VDH asks for. If we know a person's family member, let's just say, for instance, we know that a person has symptoms that are very viable as COVID. We're asking that person often to stay home even before a positive diagnosis comes back. And what that's proven is to be a very prudent thing to do, because a lot of diagnoses are coming back as positive, especially with the 20 to 30-year-old crowd. And a lot of people have kids at that age going to school and other places. So I got 2 kids in college. I just keep waiting on the phone call myself. I know that it's a real possibility to get that phone call. But our kids are doing an amazing job in the buildings. It's really, I think we struggled with what kids could do, up front, and I don't even think they think about it. They go to class, they do their thing, they're washing their hands, they're wearing their masks around, and it's really a pleasure to see. I think one of the biggest challenges has been educating the really little guys, because they have the hardest time with social distancing and staying away from each other, and we have to work really hard at that. And there are times when, you know how that goes, you have to work at it harder than others. Little bitty guys don't understand what's going on, so it is it's a work that those people are doing that we really appreciate.
Can I ask, on the 43 quarantine, are they like individuals, or are they like a group in a class, or?
We had that 43, 32 of those people were from one school where we had a person that saw those 32 people. So one person was around those 32 people. And so out of an abundance of caution, we quarantined those people. And thank goodness we did, because it's just the right thing to do. They'll be back in school next week, and we're able to continue on. So it does seem at times like you're sick, go home, wait 10 days, and I think parents struggle with that a little bit, but it's keeping us in school. And often the symptoms for younger people are so small. Sniffles, some coughing, very mild symptoms are the kinds of things that are showing up as positive. So we currently have 1 student that's positive in the division that we know of, 1 student.
Staff-wise, our numbers are down this week, which is a positive. I think the highest that we've had on a given day when we've had a number of staff member out has been 30. Today it's only 17 people for various reasons, mostly because they are quarantined because they have symptoms, as Mr. Sisk said. So they're staying home for that reason, or because they've been in close contact with someone outside of school, so a family member or a friend outside of school, and they're having to stay home for that. So 17 is a much better number this week today than it has been. We're trending right around in the 20s for the first couple of weeks of school. Any questions for us?
Well, I stand before you today, sacrifice myself for whatever questions you have, getting technology put together. I do believe we've done one heck of a job with 22 personnel in the team of technology, including yours truly here today. We take care of 13,212 individual devices. That's computers, not printers, not copy machines, not any audio visual. That's just devices that are with staff, students, cafeteria personnel, nurses, various special education teachers, out of building situations, you name it, we take care of it. I feel like for the past 3 months, my team has gone 24/7 every day trying to get things prepared for our school opening. And my body feels it, and our team feels it as well, but I'm extremely proud of everyone that's on the technology team, and I greatly appreciate the principals, the administration support that has helped us get to the point that we are at this moment in time. Starting on the 17th of August, we already had some devices in the buildings, as you are aware, as class sets. We had to go through the process of refurbishing those machines. When I say refurbishing, I simply mean each and every one of them individually had to be re-imaged, reviewed, repaired if there's keys missing, batteries updated, things of this nature to make them viable for the upcoming school year. In addition to that, through many grants, funds from the state, funds from the federal government, we were able to get a sufficient number of laptops to start off with. So on the 17th of August, we started a marathon of the Technology Open House at Leesville Road Elementary School. And we finished on the 4th day of September at William Campbell Combined School. And I personally believe I have met every single parent in the entire Campbell County area, along with their children in every case. So I think we've done as best a job as possible to make sure that things went off as well as it did. Were there problems? Absolutely. Are there issues we still have to go through? Absolutely. But just to give you some updates as to how we're handling everything, first of all, I was unable to get a slide together, so everybody should have one of these at your table. This is a snapshot today from our help desk, and it was actually a 3 minutes after 3. I wrote in there in my own hand 3:05 because that's what it was on my clock. But nonetheless, to let me walk you through this, just today, and today alone, we served 100 people, 100 individual help desk calls from the hours of 7:30 to this time of day. You'll notice that on first call resolution, we got over half of them resolved as quickly as possible to keep instruction moving. You'll notice that carryover from Friday, we have now resolved 68% of those issues that was the problem. And typically that's where we actually had to have a technician go and physically put their hands on the device in order to correct the situation. You'll also, that was same day resolution, I'm sorry. Next day resolution is what I just described. Same day resolution means that it had to go to a technician, but they were able to take care of it that day. We also have a rating system that we ask everybody to do, and we do not allow that window to be closed. It's a rating of 1 to 10, 10 being the best. And you see, so far we have a rating of 8.7, so somebody out there is liking our job. You'll see the average wait time, 7 minutes and 30 seconds. This is muchly increased over what we've had in the past because we're dealing with students at home and parents at home for the students, and those connections and the ability to understand what the problem is extremely time consuming. And for that reason, our wait time is increased, and you see our average work time also is increased. Increased by how much? I'm saying approximately 60% in both cases, because it's out of our network, it's in their homes. We have the ability to remote directly into these devices to correct them, and when we have that opportunity based on the quality of internet on the home computer that is in the student's hands, we're able to take care of a lot of issues that they have. A lot of those issues are not due to the computer itself. It's due to the lack of understanding how to work the device or how to work the software. As much as we tried to put documented tutorials on our website through our school messenger, as well as video tutorials on our website and links to those on school messenger, it's still a daunting task to communicate accurately and with time, in a timely manner, to our public, and that the public themselves have to know how to access it also. So the old adage, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, is truly where we are in that situation at the moment. Do we have people without internet? The answer is absolutely, unfortunately. And for those particular students that do not have internet, we have done the following things. We have initiated, and in the process of getting this completed, we have 10 mobile hotspots that we're going to be putting on school buses. We have one that has been completed, and the reason we only have one at this time is because of supply chain for these parts and things that we have to do. Everything electronically speaking is in a delay. So we have one bus that's active, it is working properly. We also are in the process of putting some type of outside access point beacon for our Wi-Fi to the public around our school buildings. Currently, we have one building, which is Brookville High School, that will radiate from the middle of the senior parking lot, which is on the Timberlake side, and go around to approximately to the front door area to where there's free Wi-Fi. The network is ours. And then just before coming on today, I got notification that here at the Tech Center, we also have that ability as well. It goes from the Cornerstone area all the way to right at the edge of where this empty pathway is here, all the way to the end of the parking lot. So we are making success in that as well. But again, those two situations is where we have had to modify our initial plans because we don't have the parts, and we kind of tinkered around and came up with somewhat of a solution for the moment for these two facilities. And if we have the ingenuity and the parts available, we'll do so at the other schools as we can until these other parts come in. So just to give you another statistics to look at it, also on this page, if you look at it, these are items that are common errors that we're finding with our students, or patrons as we call them. And when they go to the help desk, this is the first thing they see, so that they know there are issues we are aware of and we're trying to help them out, and this is what they can do in the meantime. Also, at the end of the day, approximately at 5 o'clock, as I looked at the data, we still had 696 work orders that were still unresolved that had been initiated as of last Wednesday. If you look at it from a statistical standpoint, that seems like a lot, but it's only 5.3% of our total number of devices that are out there. So if you look at it from that standpoint, it gives me a positive look at how we're trying to help our students and our teachers, and the positivity keeps us driving along. We'll continue to take care of this. To my knowledge, at this point in time, as of 5 o'clock on Friday afternoon, all new enrollees and all students had a device from K through 12 that was enrolled in our student information system, had a device either at the school waiting for them to pick it up, or they had already picked it up. Any new enrollees as of today, we have not addressed. So there could be some situations like that. In addition to that, there could be some special education scenarios that we have not had the ability to address, because some of those situations are very unique in its own little pocket, and we have to have multiple issues that we have to go through in order to make those devices accessible for those children. So with that, I'll open it up to any and all questions you may have, and I'll answer to the best of our ability.
Could you elaborate a little bit on the school bus hotspot? Is that taking a bus out of the transportation service, or how's that work?
The one that we have up and running is the school bus number 79, which is one of the newer school buses that's been put into the fleet. Dr. Hode's going to have to help me.
We actually, the first bus we did for the, it's mobile, it's a gov school, and the bus that hauls the CBCC kids. And we did that so that if we did go into a phase where we were remote, we could park that bus. But I did it that way because those kids are on the bus for a long time in the morning, and those kids can actually get on their computer and work as they're going to and from gov school or CBCC. We've also, we actually have two that are working, and then one is there now. The one that's there now is a spare bus from William Campbell, and my intentions for that are to be able to park out because of your area being such a,
So does it go somewhere for a designated time that the students then can?
That's our plan, yes, sir.
Get to it and park beside the bus or get on the bus? I mean,
They don't have to get on the bus. It will permeate the microwaves from the access point that the bus has, approximately 200 feet away from the bus.
So the kids will know where this bus will be at what time, and then their parents presumably get them there so they can get on.
That was our plan, so that he would have William Campbell and Brook Neal as the spots, but then we could put this in different locations around Brook Neal. Also, I'm working with Tracy Fairchild, Public Safety. They have a different system for 911, and I'm trying to piggyback on their system because it's a better, it gets better signal. So we're working with them through the one at Brook Neal as well.
So where are you putting this one bus that you have?
We have to test it first to see where we have good signal. So that'll be our next step as soon as we get that one back.
So it's not quite there yet, but
it's close.
It's getting close, but you got to also understand that the geography of Campbell County, it doesn't matter how much money you throw at certain areas, geographically speaking, Wi-Fi is not going to be possible unless you have a cable or optical fiber to get to that point.
Now, are these buses just sitting during the day, or is it anything at night? Because I know some parents are saying they've got to do their kids' work after work.
So that's why we did the spare buses, so that we're doing a multitude of buses, some that are on the road, like the Gov School bus. But the ones that, doing spare buses, so we could have a driver go park it, say, in a church for 4 hours, and then in the middle of the day after the run, they could go move it here for 4 hours, maybe a couple of different locations, and then we would publish that to the parents. It's here for, you know, from X to X, and from here from X to X, trying to get it so that they don't have to drive as far if they need internet.
But my question is, are we doing this after, let's say, 5 o'clock?
Yes, it'll be sitting there.
I mean, it'll just be sitting.
So the way we've constructed this first one is it actually has a solar panel on top of the bus, and it can stay on while the bus is off and continue to get a trickle charge all day. So we've done a lot of research on this, and Sonny's has been very helpful on that, and that's some of the first ones that they've done with the solar panel, so that it continues to charge and we can leave it on when the bus is off.
Now, are there other hot spots in the county? I mean, I know the firehouse. People come there and sit and use their internet all the time.
So I also talked to Tracy about the ability for students and parents to drive up to some of the facilities to use that as well. So we're working on
Well, like
that.
McDonald's and Wendy's, most of them have free Wi-Fi.
Well, yeah. Yes, sir.
How about the churches? Has anybody, have you talked to any of the churches?
No, yeah, we
out
actually
there?
we're working on parking the buses. That's what we were talking about. Some of the churches that helped us with the meals, they said that they would do anything, so we're working on that.
So a lot of the other ways that we've helped our students in order to get new instruction is using a software application for K1 and 2, pre-K, K1 and 2, and that's a Seesaw platform for delivery of instruction. And we have modified some of those attributes with that platform to allow for those students that don't have internet capacity using a Google Drive, offline Google Drive. We experimented with that for a while, and we modified our network so that that is a viable option at the moment. It soon will be available for our students from that standpoint. Takes a little time to go from the theoretical to the actual practicality of getting everything tested. And the philosophy our team has is we have to test it out first before we make sure it's going to work, instead of just throwing it out there and not have it work properly. And then for 3 through 12, there is the learning management platform known as Canvas. And there's apps, 3 apps at no cost to any person for the students and the parents. They can use their cell phone, they can use whatever personal devices they have so that they can monitor and know what the classes are for their students 3 through 12. And there is also an app for the families as well that they can put on their cell phones or other devices that they wish to for Seesaw as well. This allows communication not only with the teachers, but allows the parents to know what the students' lessons are that they're supposed to do and help monitor that as well. So it's opened up a lot of communication lines using these various apps with these pieces of software. There is a learning curve to it, and we're doing everything we can to make sure that parents understand how to use it properly. And to be honest, the students are teaching the parents how to use it as opposed to us teaching the parents. As you probably guessed, we deal with a lot of grandparents, and it's an interesting interaction with each and every one that we help assist. But we've made progress, and we're still moving forward. I would say by the time the first 9 weeks is up, we'll be running just like we need to for the rest of the year. We'll see how it goes. Yes, sir.
Are we able to utilize the churches and their Wi-Fi, not the buses, but just the Wi-Fi at the churches? Are they receptive, or is that an option?
I think some likely will. You know, I know in talking with some of the folks when we did our meal distribution, they were more than willing to help the community.
There's got to be an understanding that we have legal obligations to make sure that our children, because all of them, for the most part, are below 18 years of age, so they're considered minors. So by legal attributes, we have to make sure that we monitor the internet, make sure we have it filtered properly according to law. Mm-hmm. Some of the grants are tied to the fact that we have to use specified filtering software in order for these things to happen. So that's part of what our team did over the summertime was to make sure that all of that software was loaded appropriately so that these devices could go home. I was reminded earlier today, this time last year, it was my initial proposal for every student to have their own individual device. And of course, it got sped up quite quickly, as you can imagine. But to have each individual with their own device compared to how we were doing it is a healthier situation also for our students. So when we are utilizing somebody else's internet, it is possible, but there could be some, I've used this word a lot, wonkiness, because it may or may not allow us to use our filtration processes properly. So we have to be cautious with that we do follow the law and what we're supposed to do for these minors to make sure they don't have ugly behavior come into the internet and cause problems.
What's your reserve capacity? Is that, as far as wear and tear on laptops, tablets, do you have?
It's as thin as ice right now.
Is it a struggle to get additional?
Yes, sir.
At this point?
I did not mention pre-K. Ms. Walsh here is, I'm fearful to have my back to her at the moment. Pre-K, I have not been able to get iPads for the pre-K students. They're ordered. They're in the supply chain. I don't know if the Chinese people or the Southeast Asia people are swimming them individually over here. I don't know, but I have not been given a time of delivery. They were ordered in July, and they're not here yet. I'm putting in another order now for iPads, additional iPads as well, and I'm told it'll be 6 weeks before they'd even show up at our doorstep to even start the process of distributing them. I've acquired 15 extra student laptops that are exactly like the ones you are using, and those 16 laptops are coming from about 6 different places across the United States, coming in as express ship. They're more expensive than any of the other ones that I've ordered before, but you gotta have what you gotta have in order to keep things rolling. We have repaired we have become our own HP self-service center, and we have repaired numerous laptops at a reasonable cost. Parts we get are 35 cents on the dollar compared to the average consumer having to pay for it, and our technicians have become trained through HP's training process to repair these laptops. And we've gone through and cannibalized maybe 2 or 3 to make one if the parts aren't coming in fast enough, so that we can have laptops available. To be honest and straight with you right now, I have 12 laptops extra that are beyond what I know that we're supposed to have for the students that are enrolled here in Campbell County so far, looking at the student information data system.
We've taken that into consideration when we do the non-resident students.
We initially tried, the initial process we went through was to have about 5 to 8% extra compared to our historical levels. This is a year that just can't be compared for those purposes, so a lot of us were caught very flat-footed. We have had people from other counties to come into this county, and we've had people that have exited the county. I don't know whether it's a net positive or net negative. We discussed that earlier today, and it seemed to be maybe just a wash in some cases, but we're still struggling to have the reserves, as Mr. Phillips asked, that the reserves I told you, the reserves I have right now. If we had 13 students due tomorrow, I would not have the ability to serve one student. The 13th student I would not be able to serve. And I still haven't been able to take care of the pre-K yet. It's not from a lack of trying, it's just the way we are at the moment.
Well, the only comment I've heard is from kindergarten parents that they were shocked that computers are not in cases. Is there a reason we didn't put them in a case, or?
The iPads or the computers?
The iPads for the protection.
The iPads were given with a protective case that was provided to us at a cost of $9 each from Apple to supply what Apple said we had to have for the warranty. They're the ones that Apple told us to put on there. Cases are, to buy them in volume, the cheapest we were ever able to find in all of the possible vendors, including Amazon, was in the $17 range.
So there are 2,600 iPads out there, and if you do the math, that's a large volume of funds that's required, and at the time, those funds were being utilized to make sure we had enough of the devices to satisfy every student we had enrolled, making sure that you had that first.
Can the parents put a heavy duty or case on if they wish?
We've had work orders asking that, and we have said everything from putting one of those sheet protectors on it to put another cover on it, be my guest.
Okay.
We have told, on the work orders, we have said that that's the case. And the conversations I've had with Bob Stewart, the representative with Apple out of Texas, as long as there's a cover on it, it will cover, the warranty will be covered.
Okay.
But the kindergarten kids we've had more disaster with the kindergarten kids so far than any other grade level with the iPads.
Thank you.
And we didn't provide for laptops 3 through 12. They have just exactly, like I said, what you have in front of you, and that is a military grade cover that's on there. They take a pretty good beating when they're put in the backpacks. The biggest thing is electronics and liquids don't work together at all. We've had milk spilt on several so far. I guess they're doing their work at breakfast time or something like that. We've had to go through a dry out process with those, but we got them back into service. And there are some parents out there that we have not been successful to make them happy at all. A lot of work orders, we asked for a phone number, we've called them back once, twice, 3 times. We've had parents that have not been very kind to us either, expecting it to be resolved right then and there. We can't do that either at that particular moment in time. So, you know, it's like anything else when you deal with the public. You get the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Any other questions? I commend all of you for what you're doing. I mean, I know it's not been easy, and you know, I can only speak for myself, and I haven't heard that many, a couple of comments, but that's about it. And I think, not because there haven't been issues, but I think people realize the challenge that goes along with this, and I think they appreciate too the effort that goes into resolving the issues as they come up. And then, like you said, sometimes you do your best, and that's all you can do. So, thank you.
Comments I've heard have been all positive. So I can't remember that.
Yep. Okay, next item up is the VSBA annual convention.
Just wanted to bring your attention to the brochure that we posted online. The convention will be virtual this year on November 18th through the 20th. The schedule is posted in the brochure. We're going to register all of you for it. If you can't attend live during those dates and times, the sessions will be available for 30 days after for viewing when it is convenient for you.
So we'll be able to review the sessions one evening or whatever.
Yes, you can either review them when they're live on those 3 dates or any time after that at your leisure the next 30 days after the 20th.
Okay. And so what's our continuing ed requirement or whatever? Is that?
That's part of it, but we've also put Mr. Hawkins is planning a staff development for you, and he will be coming in, when did we say,
November
October?
meeting.
Huh?
November meeting.
November meeting to do an in-service with the board for you.
And that'll fulfill our requirement?
Yes.
Regardless of whether or not we participate in the convention? Okay.
So we'll be able to look at more sessions than we could normally go to.
Yes, you could look at all of them if you wanted
Well,
to.
do that every year.
Yeah.
Is there I think I interpreted the facility that is normally held out, is there going to be some vendors or something there? It said something about the facility being open for certain hours each day. I don't know if something was actually going on there or not.
No, I think it's going to be a virtual vendor fair.
Okay, so nothing will be at the actual facility going on as
No.
far as vendors or anything like that.
Any other comments?
Will they still have a delegate vote?
Yes, they'll still have all those requirements.
Who's the vice chair?
You're the
Do you know about that?
No.
We'll get him.
Something like
There
that.
you go.
It's painful.
It's like you're going.
Thank you, Mr. Conrad. Anything else regarding that? All right. Matters from the board. Mr. Jones.
Well, first and foremost, a heartfelt thanks to the Campbell County Education Foundation for that. It's quite a donation that they've made over the past 2 years. Their hard work and efforts, I mean, truly appreciate it. Certainly want to thank the speakers that came speaking on behalf of the Rustburg High School. I know it has a lot of feelings for a lot of people, appreciate their interest. And I guess I just say that really appreciate the efforts that have been put forth by the administration, faculty, all our personnel, as well as the children, the parents that have gotten the school started. I knew we were somewhat on schedule, but I didn't realize how many counties weren't even close to us. And I mean, I truly appreciate us moving forward with it. And, I just hope it continues to be effective, and I just think it's great. I appreciate everybody's effort, positive attitude, and then listen to the Dr. Slusher, the effort you all put in to fix the nightmare of a problem over the telephone when people don't know what the heck they're talking about. My hat's off to you. I'll include you in my prayers tonight. I mean, I know that's a nightmare trying to explain stuff over the telephone when you can't see it, what they're looking at. But it's just, I mean, the parents have told me, thank you, thank us for getting school going. I mean, that's, they appreciate the fact that we got kids going to school. And I mean, that means a whole lot. And we couldn't do it without all the hard work and efforts of everybody in here. And I guess that's all I got. Can we talk about our visit at all to another school?
You visited last week?
Yeah, 2 last.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, as a follow-up to this fly, I must say fly over this fly on leaving over here, but what was it, Thursday, Leon?
Last Thursday.
Yeah, I think.
Whatever, the one day last week, Leon, myself, and Dr. Johnson, we visited Pulaski Middle School. Brand spanking new. They have not opened yet. It's really close. And all I can tell you is you walk in and the wow factor hits you. And this school was built by the company we have signed on to.
Designed by the company.
Designed by-
Different builder, but designed.
And it is impressive fits the description of it. It's I don't know what better to say than if we have a facility like that on our site, when people drive down 24 and see it, they're gonna look at it and say, man, I mean, it's really really looking forward to it. Rustburg Middle School's got a lot to look forward to. Thank Dr. Johnson and the Superintendent Pulaski for hosting us, and there's a lot of neat stuff they've incorporated in there. Hopefully we can do some of that at this.
Is the design that you all looked at similar? I mean, is it very
We
similar?
went to see aspects of the design that could be incorporated into that. It's not a prototype.
Yeah, okay.
It's just aspects of it it's a characteristic of that architect that it's, pretty modern.
Is it comparable to the Bedford one, or? bigger and better, right?
No, it's
Not-
different.
Not
It's just
big.
different,
It's
different layout.
Yeah.
But again, we weren't looking at the school to say, there were aspects, systems within the school.
Yeah.
Lighting,
Okay.
you know, HVAC, things of that.
Yeah.
And you'll hear about that tomorrow.
Real intricate thing on the
Yeah, you'll hear about that tomorrow.
That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Mr. Brand?
Just echoing what Mr. Jones just said, I don't think we can say thank you enough to all the staff, with the staff, students, families, everyone, who, administration, all, who've been a major part of getting schools back going. And hats off, thank you so much for everything you've done. Hopefully before too long, a lot of you all can get a day that you can enjoy and rest. Also, thank you for the foundation for another check. I know that they put a lot of hours into looking at everybody, the school system. So, thank you to them. Thank you to all the 5 who came to speak, and also others who came to be with them concerning Rustburg Middle School. I hope that we can stay healthy and have a great year.
Ms. Wright, come on. I don't know if you can hear us or we can hear you, but it's yours.
Basically just echo what the other board members have said so far. Thank you for the speakers tonight. I also attended the Board of Supervisors meeting in September, so I was able to hear those speakers as well. Concerning Rustburg Middle School, I have taken all of that into consideration. Thank you to the Education Foundation for their support, their continued support of CTE, and all of the people helping them to provide that support. And thank you for all of the effort done by the school staff to get the schools up and running. I had major concerns that I'm sure all of you well understood, and luckily I was proven very wrong, and I appreciate that.
Don't say that.
I do have one question, Dr. Johnson, bleachers at Brookville High, where do we stand on those?
Good, I'm glad you, yes, so, we've had a company come in and give us an estimate. Well, they're putting the estimate together. They've got to replace the ones that were flipped over. The ones below have to be repaired. They were moved on between 8 and 10 inches and bucked up. They will have to be moved back. And then they'll do some other inspections. So we are waiting on the estimate on the new bleachers. It will have to be some new design, and so we're waiting on that. And the track was damaged, but the Boxley was there last week. Boxley does not think the asphalt was damaged. And the superintendent who was in charge of doing the resurfacing will be on site this week to determine a course of action for repair.
And all of that is being covered by insurance minus whatever deductible, is that correct?
That is correct. We will be submitting all of that and they've been good to work with so far. So yes, it will all be sent in.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Barbara. Mr. Phillips?
Yep, I wanted to echo everybody's sentiment on thanking the teachers, staffs, parents, everybody involved in getting school up and going this year. So monumental effort on everybody's part. So thanks very much for all those efforts as they continue forward. Thanks also to the Campbell County Educational Foundation for the great donation. And I want to thank the speakers tonight for coming out, sharing their perspective. And I also want to thank the Joint Committee for the work that they put in, both on the Board of Supervisors and the Campbell County School Board. So in regards to Rustburg Middle School. And I did talk to our principals at the 4 schools in Rustburg District, and they all had really good positive feedback on the students being back in the buildings and great interaction with them. As has been noted tonight, it hasn't been without some issues, but they've worked through those as best they could and moved forward. So thanks for everybody's help, and it was good to have that good positive feedback from the principals between last week and this week on how things are up and running. So
Ditto to everything everybody else has said. The majority of the comments I've heard have been positive. Even, according to Ms. Thomas, even the parents of the kids were quarantined, were all positive. Nobody complained about what we did and how it was done. They were well pleased that we were looking out for the kids. So I do want to thank everybody for all their hard work. And I do have one question. How's our ADM?
I think I had to respond to an email, a survey last week to send to Richmond. It appears that we are 8 below our budgeted ADM, 8 students. So that's good.
Yeah.
But we're still monitoring it closely, and we'll be over the next couple of weeks, because are there students that are still in our system that we haven't had contact with that might still be on the roll? So we're still working on it, but by the end of the month, I think we'll have a pretty good idea. But right now, it's 8.
Wow,
That's what I saw. But, I know, so you can't do the old-fashioned way of doing a head count every morning. You can't do that. You got virtual and AB, and so it's all in the system. So hopefully by the end of the month we'll have it. But it's something I've been talking a lot about. You can ask staff. We have conversations about it regularly.
Well, I think we made the right decision where we started, giving parents a choice.
Yeah.
That's it.
Dr. Miller?
Yeah, just a couple things. Obviously, thank you to the foundation for that work that they're doing, going out and soliciting people who want to help our schools. And so thank you for those people too. And it's good that we have that foundation. I think a lot of the school divisions have utilized those for a while, and I'm glad that we have one. Appreciate everything Dr. Slusher said and the Herculean effort that you guys have done. I'm thankful that my girls are out of school and I don't have to deal with those computer issues, because I would be one of those problem parents, I'm sure. And so I do appreciate that. Had a great conversation with Mr. Bennett and Ms. Hanson down in the southern end of the county, and what I really like is the positive attitude. There's hiccups and things, but you guys are adapting, and I just hear the positive attitude, even the positive attitude we hear here. And before school started, I talked to Dr. Johnson, and he said, let's get them in school. Let's get them in school. We can take care of them when we got our hands on them. So, and I include the virtual, but yeah, I'm glad the way things are going, and we're adapting and modifying, and I think we're going to have a good year. I think this is going to be their legacy, these kids' legacy. We went to school during COVID. We all got our own computer, but I appreciate that. Only other thing I'd like to say is tough decision about Rustburg Middle, and we have to honor those memories, and here this is what we got elected to do, to make hard decisions, and it is a hard decision, but appreciate the people who came out and spoke, and respect them greatly for their feelings. So let's keep doing what we're doing.
Thank you, Dr. Miller.
Can I ask, was there any other damage at Brookwater than the bleachers and the track?
The turtle, the baseball turtle, they call it, they move around, a portable backstop, the batting practice got destroyed again. It was destroyed in a tornado. There was a little bit of fencing. We're still working on the fencing to find a company to do that in front of the Brookpool bleachers, because they're kind of unique. They're not just a chain link fence, they're anchored into the concrete. So there was minor stuff, but the bleachers are the big ticket.
Nothing on the gym floor. No gym floor.
No.
No problem.
Okay, the only thing everything's been pretty much covered very well, and I'll just say ditto to everything there. I would again like to thank the Education Foundation. I think, if I'm not wrong, I'm gonna say it's over 15,000 to date that has been
17,500.
contributed. I wanna say it's around 17 something. but
17,500.
I wanna be careful. And I think that's great. I mean, going from nothing to having that much money donated to the schools, it just shows the support in our community for what we're doing here. So I'd like to thank them again for that. I'd like to, again, I know I've said it before, but I'll say it again because I don't think you can say it too much. And that is, thank you for everyone for what you've been doing and getting these schools open. I gotta admit, when we talked about it, a couple months back, I'm like, I don't know about this. But it was the right decision. I'm not hearing anything but positive comments. We've had some issues, but we've dealt with those issues. And I'm speaking of COVID, I'm speaking of technical issues or whatever. We've dealt with them, and we knew that we would have these issues at some point that would come up, and we were going to deal with them. And I think we've done a great job of it, and I can't say enough how much I appreciate everyone, what they've done, and how they've contributed. Again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out and speaking in support of preserving Rustburg Middle School. I understand the passion there. It's not an easy decision, as Dr. Miller said, and I can certainly understand where people are coming from, but I think Mr. Jones said it best in his comments earlier, that we're here for the kids. We have to do what we believe is best for the kids in Campbell County. And I think that even though I'm looking forward to seeing the plans tomorrow night, I have to believe that what we're going to come up with here, our finished product, is going to be what's best for the kids in Campbell County, and particularly the Rustburg area. So, thank you for everyone for all your support and what you're doing. Appreciate it. And with that said, any other questions or comments?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
He did, I'll second.
A motion by Mr. Maddox and a second by Mr. Grant. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Only if you sign. See you, Barbara.
All right, Mark, let's take a nap. Yes, they would be.
Oh my gosh.